My father always worked hard pedaling his rickshaw, and my mother always worked hard plowing and harvesting soy. They came home tired every day, yet, as a young girl, I didn't realize that no matter how hard they worked, these jobs just didn't pay much and we were poor. One day, a stranger stopped my mother and me in the street. "Your daughter," the man said, "is very beautiful." "Thank you, sir," my mother said, nervous and hesitant toward the stranger. "Your brown hair shines," the man said to me, "and your eyes glisten like gemstones." He stroked my hair, pinching and rolling the end of the strand between his fingers. "So beautiful. Incomparable." "Thank you, sir," I said. I looked up at my mother, feeling nervous and not knowing what to do. My mother grabbed my hand, nodded politely, smiled, and we started to walk away. "Wait," the man said. He held out a business card and said he was an agent for a modeling company. "Would you like to be a model? Would you like to be in magazines?" he asked me. I knew my hair was very shiny, and I knew my features were prettier than most girls. Yet, I also knew I was not supposed to say those things out loud. I was not to brag or be conceited. Regardless, I did not want to be in magazines. I didn't like being the center of attention, even with just family. I knew I wouldn't want to have tons of strangers looking at me. "No, thank you," my mother said quickly. She tugged my hand and we started to walk away. I felt a wave of relief. "You could make a lot of money," the agent called out. My mother stopped and turned around. "How much money?" Within a week, my mother and the agent had signed a 1-year contract and enrolled me into a modeling school. It was my mother's signature on the contract, not mine. My mother never even asked me if I wanted to be a model. The modeling school was difficult. We had to walk a certain way, swing our hips a certain way, carry our shoulders a certain way, tilt our head a certain way, and always, always, always keep the correct face. The other girls were nice enough, yet I never became friends with them. The other girls were excited to be at the school. They giggled and had fun with each other. They loved it when people looked at them. But I stayed quiet and never really fit in. I went to my first photo shoot not long after enrolling in the school, and my mother went with me. People were nice to me, and my mom made sure of it. To anyone looking at my life, they would think everything was fine. On the outside, it looked like my mom and I got along well, like a normal, happy family. Inside, I felt uncomfortable the entire time, especially with my mom. I did well and was paid a lot, just like the agent said I would. My mother and father used my first paycheck to fix up some things in our house, and my mother bought herself a really nice leather jacket. I felt proud that I could provide for them like this, even though I still didn't like modeling. Soon after, my mom was excited to tell me that my agent booked me in for another photo shoot. I pushed down all my fears and I ignored all my feelings. I went out and proudly earned the money for my family. The photo shoot came and went, and the paycheck came and went too. The money I earned from modeling seemed to take away some of the tension in my house. My father came home from work earlier in the afternoons, and he spent more time with me and my mother. My mother quit her job completely. She went with me to all the photo shoots and made sure I had everything I needed. Even though my mom seemed to care more about the photo shoots than how I felt, I followed my mom's lead. For the first time in my life, my family had a little bit of extra money to spend on fun things, not just the necessities. Yet, after several photo shoots, I still did not have any of the money I was earning. One day, my mother came home with several bags from expensive stores. She was excited to show me all the clothes she bought for herself. She even pulled out a pair of brown leather shoes for my dad. "Did you get me anything?" I asked. "Oh, you don't need anything," she said. "The companies will give you the clothes you need for the photo shoots." "I don't get to keep them," I said. "Your clothes are fine," she said, waving away my requests like an annoying fly. I said nothing, even though inside, I felt angry. Another time, my mother held out her hand, wiggling her fingers and sending the reflections from her bright ring shining into the air. "Do you like it?" she asked. "Your father bought it for me." The gold glimmered and the stones sparkled. "He bought me matching earrings too," she said, pulling her hair back behind her ears. "Did he get me anything?" I asked. "You don't even have your ears pierced," my mother said. I said nothing, but my anger grew. My parents started inviting their friends over for dinner quite often. They bought high-quality food and high-priced wine. Yet, in the middle of dinner, my mother picked up the serving spoon and scooped half of my potatoes off my plate. "We can't have you growing fat," she said. My mother and father bragged about how good a model I was. I was wondering who paid for such delicious wine. My dad's friend joked. They all laughed and agreed that I must be such a proud daughter. Such a good daughter. Look how well I was taking care of my family. "I'm proud of you," our guest said as they left for the night. "You're a dutiful daughter, a model child." I felt like hitting someone. I was so mad. No one cared about how I felt. I felt ready to explode. 2 months before my contract with my agent was to expire, my mother asked me, "Do you want to find a new agent or should we re-sign a contract?" "I don't want to," I said. "Okay," my mother said. "I'll make some calls and we'll find a new agent, a better agent." She turned to the page of her fashion magazine. "No," I said meekly. "I don't want to be a model anymore." I felt my anger start to boil. "What?" my mother said. At first, I thought she did not hear me. She spoke so softly, almost like a whisper. I let the silence hang. "Did I hear you correctly?" It was a rhetorical question. Her face scrunched. "Did you just say you did not want to provide for your family anymore? Did you just say?" She pointed at all the objects around us. The new couch, the new appliances, her new clothes. "That you want to go back to living in a dirty house without nice things? You want to go back to rarely seeing your father because he works all the time? You want to put your mother back into the fields to plow and harvest?" I felt so angry I couldn't speak. Everything we had was because of me, and she wouldn't even listen to how I felt. "We will find another agent," she said, turning back to her magazine. "It will be better and you will like it more after we find another agent." I took a deep breath. I gulped. I fought against everything I had been told a good daughter is supposed to do. I couldn't hold it in any longer. "I do not want to be a model!" I screamed. My mother looked at me blankly, as if I was not really standing in front of her. She brought her arm back and snapped it forward. Her hand stung my face so hard that, at first, I did not feel anything, only a sharp buzzing sensation. My cheeks went numb, then turned red, and then a million little needles started to prick and prick. I had been an obedient young girl. I had been a dutiful child. I had been a model daughter. I did not know how I stayed calm, probably from all that time I spent walking a certain way and smiling on command and keeping my face just so perfect. My anger gave me the courage I needed to say what I had been feeling from the beginning. I am not going to model anymore. I rubbed my cheek and held back tears. If you don't make me model anymore, I will not tell Father what you did to me. My mother dropped her magazine. Her face dropped. Her eyes dropped. If my father ever found out how I felt and what she had just done to me, he would have been furious. I could see her mind processing this through her eyes. Agreed, she said. I never had to model ever again.